Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So I'm working on a few money guides still for you guys, as well as an updated Cayo Perico guide, and I'm finishing up my Michael, Trevor, and Brad lore video, but I also got this video for you guys. I got a top 10 video and top 10 tips and tricks on the Drug Wars DLCs. So these are videos that I release whenever a new DLC comes out, and I talk about things that I think a lot of people would have missed, or things that people don't see, at least not right away. So here's top 10 tips and tricks in the Drug Wars DLC. Hope that you guys enjoy this video. Starting off at number 10, we have the Terabyte is no longer glitched with CEO crates. What I mean by this is that now you can freely go into a Terabyte in an invite-only session or a friend session, and you can freely source crates. The reason this is important is because previously, with the Criminal Enterprises DLC, we're able to sell in invite-only lobbies and friends-only lobbies, but we weren't able to source crates from the Terabyte. We could from the arcade, we could from the office, but we couldn't from the Terabyte. A lot of people, including myself, suspected that this was a glitch, but this is now fixed. As you guys see, I am in an invite-only session. I'm sourcing crates, sourced 3 crates, delivered it to my warehouse, no problem. You can now use the Terabyte to source crates in invite-only and friends sessions, so you don't need to use the office or the arcade. Next, number 9, we have the ability to hide phone contacts. So this is one of the best parts of the update, one of the best new features that's been added, and even though it's such a simple thing, it's something that people have wanted for so long. So now whenever you go into the interaction menu and you go into your inventory, and you can now see phone contact favorites, where basically you can go through all of your phone contacts, or at least most of them, and you can choose which ones you want to appear. Like, you can even disable the option for players, because a lot of times you have to scroll through the players to get to the actual phone contacts as well. But there are certain phone contacts that you cannot actually remove for some reason, like Young Ancestor, even though that's not really a helpful contact. But the contacts that I do recommend keeping is Johan, because, you know, he helps you out with your nightclub when you want to source a crate for the nightclub business. There is Pegasus. There's Mutt, obviously, so you can buy supplies from him. Miss Baker, I have her on there just so I can do casino missions. Moore's Mutual, I don't think you can remove Moore's Mutual as a contact. The Mechanic, for obvious reasons. And Lester, you know, so you can remove cops, you know, go off the radar. Imani, you know, certain abilities with Imani, where you can actually hide off the map. Franklin, so you can have start contracts with him and payphone hits. And also Dax, where Dax, you know, you do the new missions, the Fooligan missions in free mode, but once you finish those, I guess you don't really need him as a contact if you don't want to do them anymore. And the assistant, I have her on here just so that I can call up, I can call her up if my vehicle gets impounded. You can actually call the assistant to do that. So these are pretty much the phone contacts that I recommend. But again, Rockstar's really simplified this, and this should have been in the game years ago. I agree with that, but at least it's finally here, ability to hide phone contacts. Moving on to number 8, we have how to unlock the Go Postal Outfit. So the Go Postal Outfit, it's a new outfit that you get, and it's basically this outfit that you wear in the mission working remotely. And this is a Dax mission, it's a Fooligan mission in free mode, and to actually unlock the outfit, it's actually pretty simple. All you need to do is just complete working remotely for the first time. Now, if you want to get working remotely quickly, because there's a bunch of different Dax missions that you get, all you basically need to do is just set your spawn location as last location, call up Dax, see what mission you get. Like here in this case, I got the mission right off. I didn't want to do right off. I wanted to do working remotely. Find a new session, go invite only. So you'll spawn right on the street again and just call up Dax. So as long as you don't complete the mission, you won't have the cooldown, so you can just do this until you get the mission that you want, or working remotely. So just do working remotely, you know, complete the mission, drive the van into the compound. There's also one in Sandy Shores where you have to drive it into Stab City. Drive it right in there. You know, you leave the van right near the gas tank. You walk out. Your pay gets cut in half if you get detected during this mission. So just complete it. You exit out. It detonates. You drive away. You lose the cops, and then once you lose the cops, you lock the Go Postal Outfit. At number 7, we have an MC and a CEO contract and jobs nerf. Now, you have CEO missions, like, you know, you had Headhunter, you had those, which they actually did get a buff for some time. This was with the Criminal Enterprises DLC, but I think the ones that the most affected is the MC contracts. This is more of a tip, this is more of something to just keep an eye out on. And while I don't think a lot of people actually cared about this too much, I did personally care about this, and I don't think it's really something that a lot of people talked about. I did make a video about this, which it almost got to 100,000 views, which I want to thank you guys for the support, but showing you guys really quickly here again that the MC missions have been affected. So back when the Criminal Enterprises DLC came out in July of 2022, MC contracts were doubled. It was also the same thing for CEO missions, I believe. Pretty much all of them. But MC contracts are the ones that really, stood out to me because MC contracts aren't done by a lot of people. One of the reasons is because you got to keep going back to the clubhouse, and you only got 3 to choose from at a time. But take a look at this. This is before, in the past. And you had this, for a limited time, executives and gun runners and nightclub owners get 2 times, payouts for biker club challenges, club work, clubhouse contracts. So I get that it was kind of for a limited time, but this was for half a year. You got to understand that too. And if you want to know how this is affected, is look at this mission. This mission, for instance, this is one where you got to steal the oppressor. It's called Hit the Roof, I believe. 54,500. But now, if we actually look at this, how much did I get for this mission? We got 27,500 for this exact same mission. So basically cut in half, which that's kind of ridiculous. And if you take a look at the one where I actually have to collect a death bike, you actually got 74,500 for this in the past, which is actually a great pay. But now you get $38,000, which is, I guess, still not that bad, but it used to be much better. I personally preferred this system, and I know I'm talking a little bit about this point, but the reason that this, affects me so much is because MC contracts were something that a lot of people didn't do, and I thought that by doubling them, I thought that was a great step because more people did them, but now this. So just keep that in mind, that whenever you do MC contracts now, that they have been cut in half, as well as a lot of the CEO jobs. To be fair, they're the original payout of what they were before Criminal Enterprises, so I don't know if it would be an exact complete nerf, but we had this for 6 months, and I was really hoping that this would stay permanently, but 6 months later, it's been cut in half now. So next up here, I wanted to give a tip on the Acid Lab boost, because nearly a month later, I'm seeing still a lot of people that are very confused on how this works exactly. I have an Acid Lab Ultimate Money Guide, which I will link in the description, also at the end of this video, if you guys do want to check that out. But anyways, the Acid Lab produces 160 units of acid, and once you have it fully upgraded, you complete those 10 Dax Fooligan missions, it'll take about 90 seconds to produce 1 unit. This will be about 4 hours, normally. If you have a continuous batch of supplies, it'll be about 4 hours to produce. However, though, if you use the Acid Lab boost, and you can use this, once every real-life day, this will cut your timer down from 90 seconds per unit to 45 seconds per unit, and this will last for about an hour. So instead of taking 4 hours to produce, it'll actually take 3 hours to produce. So you can actually produce a full Acid Lab shipment in 3 hours every single day. The timer for this resets at 2 a.m. Eastern US time, so at 2 a.m. Eastern US time, you can go over here and you can try to, do another Acid Lab boost. It's not, if you have an Acid Lab boost already going before, it's not going to double the effects, so just do it on, each shipment that you're doing it individually, but 2 a.m., just keep that in mind. Eastern US time, it resets, and if it doesn't work for you, if it's 2 a.m., past 2 a.m. Eastern US time, and it still hasn't reset, just find a new session. But that's pretty much a tip for that. Hope that helps people out. Moving on to number 5, we have how to lose the cops instantly with the Acid Lab. Now, this is in free mode. Anytime that you can spawn the Acid Lab and enter the Acid Lab in free mode, you can lose cops. It doesn't matter whether this is 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars, 4 stars, or even 5 stars. Even if you have half the police in Los Santos after you, you can lose them instantly. And this is something that's been in the game for many years, since the first real special vehicle that has an interior, which is the MOC. So this works for both the MOC, the Avenger, it works for the Terabyte, it works for the Kasatka, but basically, all you have to do is you just spawn the Acid Lab, which is the newest vehicle, and you just go into it. That's literally all you gotta do. It's as simple as that. You just spawn the Acid Lab. You guys see you got 5 stars. Go inside the Acid Lab. Go outside. I still see the SWAT members. I still see the cops walking around the street, but they're not after me. So anytime you want to get rid of cops, they're annoying the hell out of you, and you can't call Lester. Just spawn your MOC, your Avenger, your Terabyte, or your Acid Lab, or your Kasatka. You can go right inside, lose cops instantly. Don't have to deal with all the hassle. At number 4, we have how to escape the Undercover sting easily. Now, I talked about this in my Ultimate Acid Lab Money Guide, but I also found one more mission. So there's 4 of these variations of these missions in total, and these missions are basically just like this. You go up to the drop-off when you're selling acid, and you open up the trunk, but then it turns into a police sting, and it's a police sting every single time. And how you know it's a police sting is there's 2 signs. The first sign is it's going to tell you to go to a parking garage. Second sign is it's always going to be 1 drop, or going to be extra drops depending on how many bikes there are, but it's only going to be a single drop if you're doing it by yourself. So there's basically 4 of these locations, and the first one you guys see right here is the one that I went to. It's kind of like right in the middle of the city, not too far from the Maze Bank area. go up to the trunk, but instead of going up to the trunk like you guys saw that I was doing here, this is the bad way to do it. There's a lot easier way to go about doing this, and this is actually the easiest cell mission. Instead of actually going up to the trunk, all you would basically need to do is just shoot. Just shoot your gun at some of the cops, and that's it. Like, take a look at this one, for instance. This one is in southern Los Santos. It's another one of the parking garages, and there's these undercover cops all over the place. Sometimes you need to go on a little bit of the higher levels, but in this case, like you see the van right here, you just shoot around the van, and that's it. You escape. Now, for the first location, all you basically got to do for that one is you just drive into the subway right near the highway. So there's that tunnel right near the highway. You just go right in there. The second one that's actually right near the airport, you just shoot around. You got to drive on this floor, shoot around a little bit, and then right after that, just take the man chest and just drive in the subway. Because these are motorcycles, remember, they can fit in a lot of places that cop cars actually cannot fit in. Now, the other location that I was talking about earlier, the one that's in southern Los Santos, all you basically gotta do is just follow the train tracks. There's train tracks right next to there. Go in the subway. You can lose the cops. You can't call Lester. And then there's also a new location that I found out. This one, actually, I didn't know that there was a fourth variation of this mission, but I got it the other day. And in the fourth variation of the mission, it's actually kind of right, the parking garage is actually right near the golf course. And so right after you get that, just go down this big road, not too far from Michael's house, and there's actually a subway platform. Just drive right down the subway platform, and you just lose the cops like that. So basically, to sum it up, all you gotta do is just shoot your gun. When you have these locations, just shoot your gun. Do not go up to the trunk, because I'm still seeing people, when I help people out with these missions, they're still going up to the trunk, and that's just a waste of time. You're gonna get more exposed to cops shooting you. Just shoot around, get the wanted level, because you're gonna get it regardless every time, and just escape through the subway. That's it. Next, at number 3, we have the hidden undercover cops. Now, these cops basically hide whenever you have the cell mission with the acid lab, where you have to go to those 5 locations and choose a 1 out of 3 locations to hide it in each one. So there's 5 locations: A, B, C, D, and E. Now, with these locations, I talked about this in my Ultimate Acid Lab Money Guide, but I have some extra locations for you guys to show you guys even more. But basically, here's what happens. Undercover cops hide in these locations, and for people that are telling you that it doesn't matter where you hide the acid, it does. You can complete the entire mission without getting caught by cops, without having to deal with any one level, without having to have anybody chase you, and it's actually very simple. So let me show you guys a few examples here. So at the beginning here, you guys see, this is recent, this is just the other day I was selling. I took a few screenshots, circled where the undercover cops are. The undercover cops are basically in cars like this. You guys see it. I've circled all of them. They hide in these cars, and there's 2 guys inside them. And it's always the exact same cars. You know, it's that typical, like, you know, undercover cop car that you see. So whenever you see that car, you see 2 guys sitting in it, that's the undercover cops. What you want to do is you want to hide the acid in a location that is they don't see it in. So there's going to be some distant area. There's going to be a bad area to hide it in, and there's going to be the correct area to hide it in. Hide it in the area where it's out of sight. If you hide it in the area where it's out of sight, they will not see you, and you won't get a wanted level. So, like, take a look at this here. I circled another undercover cop, so you see that would be a bad location to hide it in. And there's another one right here. The bad location is the one that's always right next to them. And take a look at this one. This one is from over a month ago. I was in this area. I was near that power plant area, and there's no undercover cops here. None whatsoever. But then, you know, I was just selling the other day, and there's an undercover cop, so the locations are randomized. So sometimes there's an undercover cop, sometimes there isn't. But it's almost always there's either 2 or 3 out of the 5 locations have an undercover cop. Now, I've seen comments of people telling me that they've seen undercover cops also on foot, but I've done this mission multiple times. I haven't seen it. I'm not calling anybody a liar. That's not what I'm saying by any means. I just personally have not seen it. So I've done a lot of these missions. I haven't seen the foot undercover cops, but I would assume that, you know, they're just somewhere standing off in the side if they exist, and you want to always hide the acid. Just always, regardless of whether you see the car or not, you just want to hide the acid in a discreet location somewhere where nobody's looking at you, neither somebody in a parked car or neither NPCs. Like you see in this case, now I see the undercover cop when I'm selling it. Here, where previously it wasn't there. Normally, I would hide it right here. This would be the better location. The undercover cop wouldn't see me. I'd jump down here. I would just plant it. The bad location would be right here. Now look at what happens. I plant it, undercover cops goes right after me. I get a 1 level. You can call Lester after this, but it's just annoying dealing with that. And then there was also another one right here, where here I actually planted it, and I didn't even see the undercover cop. The undercover cop was all the way up the road, but the undercover cop did spot me. So regardless, just always hide it in a discreet location, because I see people, out of all the missions, I see people messing this up all the time. They just basically hide the acid in the first location they see. They don't think about there being something more to the mission. They're like, oh, I'm just going to plant it here, and then the cops go after them, and then the mission takes longer. So just keep that in mind. There's hidden undercover cops. Look for the marked car, try to hide it in a discreet location, and you'll be good. Number 2, we have multiple delivery vehicles with the acid lab. Now, most people probably have realized this at this point, that you do get multiple delivery vehicles depending on how many people you have in your MC or CEO, but at the start, a lot of people were saying when this DLC first came out that it's always one delivery vehicle. It's only one delivery vehicle if you're selling by yourself. However, though, if you sell with friends, it'll be multiple delivery vehicles, and this can be up to 4. So 4 max. So if you have, 4 or more people, it's always going to be 4 vehicles. 3 people, it's going to be 3 vehicles. 2 people, it's going to be 2 vehicles. And now, selling with multiple vehicles, this can be a double-edged sword. On certain missions, like remember the Undercover Sting mission that I was actually talking about earlier? That one where, you're going to A, B, C, D, and E. That mission, if you have 4 people, going to each different drop, you can actually complete the mission much faster than normally, in minutes faster than you would by yourself. Other missions, like for example, the garage mission, the one where you're going in a parking garage with you go to the trunk and then the cops go after you. I showed you guys how to avoid that one a little bit earlier. On that one, it's going to be 4 different drops. It's only going to be 1 drop in the end for each bike, but 4 different drops versus just 1 drop just for your bike alone. So you're going to have to wait for everybody else to get to the other drops. And then the Paperboy mission, which we're doing right here. The Paperboy mission, this mission you would think would actually be easier with multiple people because you have 10 drops. But the thing is, though, that second drop doesn't appear until you get the first drop. And then the third drop doesn't appear until you get the second drop. So people don't know where to go. This mission, I think, should be updated. But the reason that you would sell with multiple people is because your friends would also get some money for it. They'd get money for helping you. And like I said, that one mission... One of the 3 missions is a little bit easier with multiple people, but other missions aren't necessarily easier. However, though, there is something to keep in mind. Now, this is something that surprised me. Out of every business in this game that has multiple delivery vehicles, if one of the vehicles gets destroyed, the amount of product gets destroyed on how much that vehicle had. So basically, in other businesses, like, the Post Op, for example, you have 15 drops, and if, a van gets destroyed and still has 5 drops in it, you've lost 5 out of 15 drops, so you still have 10 drops that you can make. However, with the bikes, if you are doing a mission like the Paperboy one right here, we actually had an accident where one of the bikes actually got destroyed. I was helping a friend sell. This is a few weeks ago. So I was helping a friend sell, and what ended up happening was, even though one of the bikes got destroyed, we still made all 10 drops. And she actually still got the max payout for it. So, on this mission, the Paperboy mission, if the other bikes get destroyed, as long as the final bike doesn't get destroyed, you can still get the max payout even if you're on one bike. However, though, another mission, now to keep in mind, this is actually the parking garage mission. The parking garage mission, and we tested this specifically. This is actually my friend's camera, her. So we were selling, her shipment, and she had an upgraded acid lab, but she was still selling max. And what happened was, this, happens regardless of whether it's upgraded or not, but on the parking garage mission, the amount that gets destroyed, the amount of bikes get destroyed is how much you get paid. So like the Paperboy one, you can have all 3 bikes destroyed and then deliver with the 4th one and you'll still get max payout. It's actually the same thing for the Undercover Sting mission, that one, the A, B, C, D, and E. Those 2 missions, as long as you deliver with 1 bike at the end, you still get max payout. But this one, with the parking garage, that one, it depends. So that one, if your bikes, the other ones get destroyed, then yes, it's going to affect it. But at the same time, as there's multiple targets, so it's harder for people to destroy the whole shipment versus on one. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Do you want to sell with people, get more bikes, or do you want to do it by yourself? I personally think it'd probably be better just to do it by yourself. Just activate Ghost Organization, get it over with. But if you want to get your friends some money, sell an invite-only session or a friends session. But if you think you're confident with your friends, you think everybody can handle a bike, no problem, sell with your friends in a public session if you want that extra bonus. But those are just things to keep in mind. Selling with multiple people on the Acid Lab is double-edged sword. Some benefits and some cons as well. And the number one tip that I can think of in the Drug Wars DLC is the high demand bonus. And I cannot stretch just how important this is, how much more money that you can make. And what I mean is that if you sell in public sessions, you can get massive bonuses. And this now applies to import-export. Import-export was actually updated with this. Now, I know some people might get scared about selling in public sessions, but just let me reassure you, I'm going to show you some tips on what to do. But just take a look at this, for instance. I have right here on the screen, this is basically this is the new numbers for import-export. So basically, when you're selling 4 top-range cars, and if you want to just get top-range cars, you would just fill up your warehouse, your vehicle warehouse with low tier and then mid tier vehicles until you only spawn top range vehicles. So whenever you get a low tier or mid tier vehicle, don't sell it and just keep filling up your warehouse, and eventually you will just be able to source top range cars. Nothing else will come up for you. But anyways, take a look at this. So when you're selling a top range car, and in this case we're selling 4 cars, just to show you guys how significant this bonus is, you get a high demand bonus. How the high demand bonus basically works is it's 2% of every player in that lobby stacking up to 25 times. Doesn't count the people in your CEO or MC though, but for import-export, just CEO. So how significant is this? So we are selling top range cars for $100,000 each. So that means you get an extra $2,000 per player in the lobby. Now you might not think this is a lot, but just think. You multiply that by 25. That's now an extra $50,000. So yes, we will be selling this in a full, lobby. Selling this with 4 of my friends. And so that's an extra $50K per each vehicle, which means you get an extra $200,000 for selling that import-export. So right here, you guys see us. We're just, making the sale. We're making the drive. And the thing about this is import-export, you unfortunately cannot close your app like you can for the other businesses. You will actually lose the cars if you close your app. However, though, import-export is the easiest to deliver. And as long as you don't have anybody crowding out near the warehouse, make sure you look outside. As long as there's nobody near the warehouse, activate Ghost Organization the second that you get out of the warehouse. And I'm telling you, you will make it. You will get to the drop because almost all of these import-export missions are under 5 minutes. They're just such a quick and easy drive, and top-range vehicles are already pretty quick vehicles. So you guys see, we're getting over there, we're delivering the cars. And I'm getting a $150,000 per each vehicle. Now, it costs $20,000 to upgrade these vehicles, for the $100,000 sell. So normally you would be making an $80,000 profit. But here, done the math on that, and you guys see, if we subtract $150,000, that's per. If we subtract $20,000 from $150,000, that's how much the bonus is per each car now in the max lobby. We get an $130,000 profit per car, so $520,000 total profit. And I'm telling you, you can source those 4 top range cars in under an hour. Telling you, you can do that. You can source them in under an hour. There then is a cooldown. I believe that the cooldown is half an hour on import-export sales, but just keep that in mind, that, if you source, 4 cars in an hour, and then you have some friends helping you out, some friends helping you sell it, you can make, an extra $200,000. Or if you just want to sell 1 car by yourself, you want to sell just 1 car by yourself, you get an extra, $50K on that in a public session. So it's an easier way to make some money with import-export. And if the same thing actually applies, exact same thing applies to the Acid Lab. So take a look at the Acid Lab. This is for the Acid Lab calculation. So Acid Lab will sell for $335,200. That's an extra $6,704 per player. We multiply that by 25, we get $167,600. Add that to $335,200, we get a total of $502,800. As you guys see, it's what I got here. And then we subtract $120,000 for the supplies. The reason you want to buy supplies is so that your business will just be producing in the meantime, because you can do other things. So you can buy supplies for this business and do import-export or something else, or a Cayo Perico heist while this stuff is producing. And $12,000 if you want to use Ghost Organization. And you guys see, I did this in a full, 25 player lobby. Well, it was close. It was a little bit more than that. It was around 30 people. But it was pretty much an entire full session. And in this lobby, I only knew one person. There's just one of my friends in the lobby, and he wasn't even hanging out with me. I actually didn't even know he was in the lobby. He was in his apartment. But I had no help. As you guys can see here, I did this all by myself, and basically what I like to do is I like to activate Ghost Organization after I drive for a minute. So I drive for a minute because the global signal doesn't activate until 30 seconds when the cargo appears on the map, and that's, a way for me to get a little bit of distance towards the drop, and then activate Ghost, and I have, an extra 3 minutes while I'm off the map. And then even after Ghost expired, I was still doing this mission for a little bit of time, around 10 minutes, and I finished it. And right there, $502,800, and I didn't have anybody come after me. So I'm a YouTuber, and the point that I'm making is that I'm probably going to get attacked more than you guys, and yet I sell in these public sessions a lot of times. I play on free aim. If you want to play on free aim, all you got to do is go into single player, go to your settings, change it to free aim, go into free aim lobbies. Free aim lobbies just in general are more peaceful. I'm not saying you're not going to get attacked in free aim, but just the people on free aim I've just noticed are just way less toxic than people in auto aim lobbies. And if somebody tries to blow up like your acid lab, again, remember, for import-export, you close your app, the cars will be gone. But import-export, you shouldn't really worry about that because you got Ghost, so you got plenty of time to finish that. For these missions, though, the acid lab, if you close your app on these missions, you'll only lose, I think it's like, 4 or 5 units out of the 160. So it's not even that much. So you still have like 95% of your stock. It's better than losing the entire thing. So that's just to keep in mind. And one final thing here. This is just to show you guys how significant this bonus is. So basically, I was also, this is when it was still double money. This is a few weeks ago. So it was double money on the acid lab. And double money also works the high demand bonus. And this is for, pretty much every business in the game has the high demand bonus. So it's selling for $670,400, as you guys see right here. And that means that I'm going to be getting an extra $13,408 per player. And you multiply that by 25, you get $335,200 extra on top of that. We add that to $670,400, $1,005,600. Subtract the supplies, and we subtract Ghost Organization, $873,000 profit. That's, in 3 hours with the boost. So that's why I personally recommend sometimes selling in these populated lobbies, because you can get pretty big bonuses on top of that. If you don't want to sell in invite-only or friend sessions, but I'm telling you, you can get a lot more extra money if you sell in these, if you sell in populated lobbies. Just use Ghost Organization, keep an eye on the map, and if you're doing Acid Lab and some idiot, tries to blow it up, just close your app. Most of your acid will be fine. For cars, you can't close your app, you'll lose them, but like I said, I want to just reassure people, because I know people are going to keep saying in the comments that it's too dangerous in public sessions. Import-export with Ghost Organization will give you plenty of time to deliver the cars. The drives are almost always close. You should be able to get there in those 3 minutes. And even if you don't get there in the 3 minutes, you will pretty much be at the point when the Ghost Organization expires. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please do drop a like. It does help me to make more content like this. I'll try to reply to any comments or questions. If you guys have any questions about any of this in this video, please post down below. I'll be replying to a lot of comments. So thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys found this video helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys.